I thought Chelsea were absolutely dreadful. Dreadful. From start to finish, they were dominated all over the park. And I thought, they got quite a bright start. They had a lucky, fortunate goal. Conor Gallagher driving forward after being released by Mudryk, had a little bit of extra space. Mudryk fed Gallagher, his efforts cannoned off the defender and gone in. Chelsea didn't really know how to celebrate because it's been so long since they scored a goal, especially at home in the first half, that they've sort of forgotten what it feels like to score one. But apart from that, there was no bright spots. I mean, the second half, it was terrible. It was lethargic. It was weak. It was an insipid performance. It looked... I mean, Kepa Arrizabalaga has come under quite sustained stick and pressure over the course of his Chelsea career for making mistakes. But if it hadn't have been for him yesterday, it would have been about 7 or 8. He's made some outstanding saves in that game. And the best thing that happened in the whole game for Chelsea was Evan Ferguson went off injured. Because if he'd stayed on for the rest of the game, he probably would have been that scoreline.
He's going to be a player, by the way. But I look at Chelsea from the outside, Sam, and you're a Chelsea fan, and I just see a group of bottlers. I really do. I think there's a couple of honest players in there. I think Thiago Silva, when he's fit, he's done very well since he's been in the Chelsea shirt. I think you look at Conor Gallagher, will always give you evidence whether he has got the quality that's going to get Chelsea up the table next season or moving forward. I don't know. Mason Mount being another one. Speculation about him leaving. But the rest of them, they come for 60, 70, 80 million pounds. I don't know who's bringing these players into the club, whether it was Tuchel or whether it was Graham Potter or whether it's the people above their heads who've tried to put a squad of players together and it's just not working. There's no leaders in there whatsoever. And that's a real concern because you can have all the talent in the world, but if you haven't got 2 or 3 leaders, everybody always looks at the spine of a side. If you look at the top sides throughout the years, they've always had a fantastic spine. I don't put any, I'll put it this way, I don't point any fingers at the goalkeeper. He's just getting tested too much because everybody is just switched off in a Chelsea shirt. And that performance yesterday pretty much epitomised their season. They've put all their eggs in one basket thinking they're going to go all the way in the Champions League.
They're not.
They're not going to do that because they're not going to. You can't just switch on and go, okay, we'll win this week and then we'll forget about the league because we don't want to finish in that European Conference League because none of those players want to play in that Conference League. Then in the summer you're going to get a brand new manager who's going to walk through the door and he's going to say, well, I don't like 7 or 8 of these players that I've got. They're not going to be involved with me at all. They might be on 6 or 7 year contracts, so they'll have to either sell them for less than what they bought them for or pay them up, which is going to cost them an absolute fortune. Then you've got to get another group of players that are going to walk through the door at Chelsea. They've got serious problems at that club because they think they've got so much money they could just go and buy who they want, but you can't buy team spirit.
No way. And there was certainly a lack of team spirit, a lack of fitness in that game yesterday as well, which was really concerning. They don't look as if they're at full tilt. I don't know whether that's because the previous manager was training with too big a group, what was trying to keep everybody happy, and it was very difficult to be able to sort of get the intensity required in training, and therefore now it's come to the business end of the season. They just haven't got that. Whether it's because these players have thought to themselves, well, there's so many of us, we're not all going to be involved next year when a new manager comes in. So, they're confused and their judgment's clouded because they don't know whether they're going to be there next year. They're unsettled. Or whether it is just the fact that they just haven't played enough games. There's so much chopping and changing. I mean, there's been injuries as well. I mean, Reece James had a bit of a hamstring problem yesterday, couldn't play. You can't play Thiago Silva and N'Golo Kanté 3 times in 1 week. That's impossible.
Takes one player in a whole of a squad to lose a dressing room. You fall out with one player, that player's got 3 or 4 best mates. Those 3 or 4 players are in the Champions League squad, they're playing in the Premier League week in, week out. The other players training with the under-23s. If that player then starts to say, I don't like that manager, the rest of the players start to believe it. I've been in dressing rooms so many times and saw an individual player who didn't like the manager, his best mates then fall out with the manager, and that's when you lose the dressing room straight away and you can't get it back.
Big job for Frank Lampard between now and the end of the season to try and get something out of this group, because really and truly the season is done for Chelsea.